of the chakras as as you know, a lot of my work revolves around the chakras and the understanding of how they act as vehicles for consciousness. So I'm happy to speak about that within our space as well. I trust you're going to edit this recording. So
yes, definitely. Okay, so there are so many questions. I know. Okay, I'm going to do a little introduction if you want. Sure. And so then I can start some questions, just kind of to get to know each other. And I know you're busy as well, so try to ask specific questions. So hello, everybody. Hi, Adam. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with me and with us. So like I was explaining before we started recording, I'm organizing this Chakradventure every day to explain kind of with a little PDF leaflet where I explain what is the chakra, what part of our body it relates to, like a little challenge, maybe a story of how all this can affect in your life. Also, it's how the energies more and more nowadays, it's shown and proven, you know, how the impacts that it has also on our physical body and through the arts. So I always put a painting so you can meditate with the painting, or when you draw the geometry. So your course is quantum geometry. So I know we're into the same thing, that it can go to so many topics. But you know, I wanted to add these interviews to not only have it work on our individual energy, but also see how we can connect with the collective and bring everybody, you know, in all of field of expertise. And the truth is, why am I such a big fan of the Resonance Science Foundation? Literally, I'm with you guys at all the Q&As. I've watched all the beginnings. I started watching all of your classes. I don't have the time to watch everything because there's so much that is so passionating, you know. It's like literally every time I get to your Q&As, for example, it's either I'm going to pick up my son, or I'm painting something, or I'm working on something and I'm watching you guys at the same time. But every single time that I get in the room and you guys are speaking about a topic, it's literally directly related to something I'm painting at the moment, or something I just read, or even when I watch your courses, you know, it's like there's no time. Everything is one moment. So the day I remember when I was watching your the first class of quantum geometry, you're talking about something. So of course the class has been recorded a long time, I mean, a few months ago, right? But by the time I get to watch it, it aligns with this moment in time that, oh, I was writing this, or, you know, so it really shows. Every time I'm blown away, or William is talking about some stuff. So you're amazing at bringing all the vocabulary to that, you know, all these ideas that I discovered through the mandalas, through creating the geometry and getting into my bubble that reconnects me, you know, with the microcosm and the microcosm, and then the entire universe. And sometimes you're all like, oh, you're so connected and everything, and all of a sudden you're trying to put words into it, or to put a reason to it, or analyze it, you know, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? Am I in a matrix? Like, you know, this is crazy. And the synchronicities start coming one after another, and then it's your entire world like that's completely shifted. And then I met you guys, and it's like, it's science, you know, it's no longer the crazy magic, it's legit, it's science, it's normal. There is this entanglement. It's proven now that the timelines, you know, are merging and all that. So it's just so fascinating. And I saw yesterday that you have the NFTs now, the crop circle. So all that, you know, and when I saw your, okay, I made a little collage. I made a little collage, you know, with your everything that you're doing. You're astrophysicist at the Resonance Science Foundation. You also do summits for Portal to Ascension. I think you said you're doing conferences right now at the moment. So how do you do all of this? You know, how do you do it, and how is it like to do this genius stuff all the
time? Well, thank you for the warm welcome and introduction, Letitia. And it's so beautiful to hear you express the journey that you've been on and the kind of magic that you've been experiencing, recognizing how this world outside of us is deeply interconnected to what's going on inside of us. And there is something quite potent about certain threads of information and energy in this universe, which act almost like threads in a fabric that cause other threads to move around them and flow with them, because those threads are connected to our evolutionary impulse. They're connected to who we're becoming as a species. They're connected to what it is that we're envisioning ourselves to be, as in humanity. And so when you're around those threads, it seems as though the entire universe is folding itself to mold to support you, to be in that evolutionary impulse. And I look at those threads as actual streams of creation, so to speak, like rivers of creation, and that different ones of us, different souls, different beings come in and participate in those streams of creation during certain periods of time. And that's when some of our greatest work is given to the world. It's when we're giving that work, which actually creates a field that changes lives around us and actually supports the evolutionary growth of everyone. And to say that it's science, and it's like, oh, it's just normal, it's just science, isn't meant to belittle the magic within it. In fact, it's even more amazing that we can prove it. And it's more amazing that we're developing the models of understanding that are connecting us to the way that nature arises, the way that we have arisen, the way that all of existence is in communication and in connection. And yes, it is very much, like a matrix. It's a system which is feeding back information to itself, storing that information, and like, in, for example, the Matrix films, which you may have been referencing, that program is editable. It can be changed. It can be adjusted. It can be modified. And we can do some pretty incredible things when we start to learn how to communicate to that fundamental field. And as Arthur C. Clarke said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's really where we're going. That's the arc of where we're going to. So to answer your few questions, how do I get it all done and how do I do it all? Well, I stay up until 3 or 4 a.m. every night. And, the truth is that is the truth. And also, for me, I just take things one day at a time. I'm CEO of a tech company called Superliminal Systems. We built the Resonance Academy. We built the Guardian Alliance. We built the Visionary Arts Academy. And now we're building a 3D social operating system that's designed to give people back their identity, give them back access to all their data by pulling it in from all the different networks, establish sovereignty and true peer-to-peer connections so they'll never be throttled again, and gives them a formula to be able to create any kind of digital asset and sell it and create with it or remix other people's and earn a living and make a livelihood in that space. And a lot of that drive to doing that has come from this learning journey that I've been on with people like Nassim Haramein and Robert Grant and Alan Green and Jamie Janover and all of the amazing math magicians that are part of our crew. And it's been about getting to understand more and more simply and more clearly what it is that helps us augment our consciousness, enhancing our ability to interact with information, store, organize, and use that information in a practical way, and also what doesn't. And the thing is, some people envision a day where we'll just never even use computers, but that's not really realistic. The truth is that our journey as a humanity needs to be able to integrate the gifts that these computer systems give us for example, us talking across the world right now,
Yes.
you know, having this beautiful shared experience where I can, you know, look at the mandala behind your head on the wall and go, oh, wow, yeah, that's like a radiant heart chakra. It's 13 petal, you know, like, wow, you know, we're having this amazing connection. But how do we make that go almost more and more invisible, where we can enter those states of connection without necessarily having to like be in our screens and like, you know, stuck at this spot where we're moving and we're in the flow of life, and you know, what would it look like to you know, interact with the feed of what's coming in that's important to you, instead of just being like this, you know, on your phone for like hours. If you could quickly just pull up that information, see it, get a glimpse of it, go organize it, do what you need to do with it, and be done, you know, and be hanging out outside at the park the whole time, or skiing or mountain climbing or whatever it is that you love to do. And so I think that part of the advancement of technology and the advancement of science and where we're going is learning how to make technology more like magic, making it more invisible, making it more integrated and subtle, so that it's truly augmenting our innate natural abilities. And of course, we can go a lot further down that direction towards how Starship technology operates and all of that kind of thing, which all has to do with augmentation of human technology.
Absolutely. Yes. Awesome. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Like, I love it. I love this kind of stuff. You know, it's so true that life is a miracle. And in another one of my videos, I was saying the same thing. It's like magic. Like you say, you can't reduce it just to science. It is a miracle. Just like creating life, you know, in the body, you're like, you still can't believe it. How is this real? Like, life is a miracle. You know, this is magic. How, you know, we transform and we create like this. But I also feel like we're in this transition phase as well, where we still need the confirmation, you know, when sometimes, you know, you feel these, like you say, you have this instant connection, you have this access to the knowledge. Sometimes I take a book and what I'm saying before I even read the book is like what was in the book, because like you say, we're connected, but then you open the book and you have the confirmation. And so we're still in that stage where most of us, we need that confirmation to be like, oh, I can trust myself. Now, when I have the next time I have the intuition, the vision, the connection, the telepathy, you know, then I trust myself more, because I know every time, yes, that's right. And, you know, it's like you teach mathematics in school, you know, even from the youngest age. Every school, everywhere teaches 2 + 2 is 4, and the letters and the phonetics, and you learn all that. And so by integrating, because I see that all these galactic things, and this is why I did the Jedis this morning, because I saw you know, I was like, oh, let's go galactic. But the more you see it, and you start seeing it everywhere and everywhere and everywhere, so it becomes the normalcy. So even 5 years ago, it was still kind of like the you know, the weird, it's kind of weird or whatever, or unexplained, or but now it's become more and more normal for everything. And so the question, so I have questions about I have one question about the arc, and like you, and I'm going to jump on what you were saying about the gravity and the spaceships, right? Because this is one of the questions that keep coming back.
Great.
So I had this kind of vision about how the energy can work, you know, for the gravity, and how you can go more organic. Do you think the spaceships, the solar panels, all of this is going to become more and more organic? Like, for example, using crystals and fusions of metal and crystals, or like in the pyramids when it's rocks and crystals. And so the vision that I had one day was like a spaceship with like a metal fusion with crystals, and that it would be a question of like temperature. You know how some crystals are more or less sensitive to temperature, and by the friction of the breaking and stuff like that, that would create like a propulsion, and that we would be able to conduct the energy more like that through crystals, and so that more and more it will become organic, right? This is why I came to you talking about the solar panels, because now I'm like, the entire world, everybody is investing in solar panel. Even on Gaia TV, I saw they're all solar panel, and I was like, is it going to be in 50 years like a lot of stuff to still recycle? Which nowadays the company I talked that they're amazing. They say they recycle every single piece of they're able to recycle every single piece of it. It doesn't mean there's not an accumulation, just like for recycled plastic and stuff like that. But so for all of this technology, what is it that I kind of had the answer when you said that we're still going to be using the computers and stuff, but how do you think it's going to evolve? And also, before I forget, I really think it's completely different, but I'll get back to it, but just so I don't forget, how it's going to change the world, all this geometry. Do you think the new energies also is created by the geometry and by just having symbols and things like that generates actually energy like that? Because now I was watching Initiation last night from Matthias De Stefano, and then Robert Grant from his page was posting something, a talk from Egypt as well, and then you say the same thing, and then everywhere people starting to say the same thing, that now through geometry, drawing geometry, it is not only legit that it's true that it creates energy, but it's now necessary to connect to it, to evolve in consciousness, to kind of open portals and reactivate the chakras of the planets and of the people. And so all this, coming together.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me take that one bite at a time. How does that sound? So starting with the organic technology side of things. Is our technology becoming more organic, was your question. I think that it's not really a question about whether something is organic or not. Even the term organic is frankly an interesting one, because it's meant to divide living systems from non-living systems, right? But when you start to get into the underlying essence of unified physics, you begin to realize that, well, everything is storing information, including protons, and exchanging that information. And because protons are literally acting like these living, exchanging biofeedback mechanisms, storing information, you could say that the entire universe is organic to some extent. And there are insights that we gain. You used the term crystals many times to describe perhaps like a more advanced type of metal or a more advanced type of system. And I'd say that from a scientific perspective, you're correct in that understanding crystal lattices, which is basically geometric arrangements of molecules and atoms, helps us to design materials that have new kinds of properties, right? So graphene, for example, is a good one, because graphene is literally a hexagonal lattice of carbon atoms. And it's because it's hexagonal in its lattice, making a bunch of little hexagons, looks like a honeycomb, right? That material can be extremely thin, down to a single molecular layers of thickness, and maintains extreme strength. So at its most thin layer, it's super conductive, super thin, super strong, etc. And we're just starting to learn how to do certain kinds of stacking of graphene to make really more advanced kind of surface structures and things like that. Now, when you also understand the sort of flexibility of crystals, I have a decent example here where I have this little, tetrahedral guy, but you'll notice that I didn't connect any of the base pieces. And what that allows this to do is the whole structure is actually rotatable. It's flexible, right? But it's still a crystal structure, it's still extremely strong. And when we begin to understand those kinds of principles of structural geometry within atomic and molecular structures, and potentially all the way down, from really gleaning our visionary insights at what's happening at the Planck field, at the fundamental field of space-time, which is where a lot of my work is focused in quantum geometry as a course and elsewhere. Then we're matching the efficiency that space-time has. And so it's actually enhancing efficiency of how energy, information works, how things can be flexible and maintain extreme strength. Now, when we get into things like higher level propulsion and energy systems, there's a huge amount of approaches to that kind of thing. And we'll start with the energy bucket, because I think it's useful to relate to your work today and the solar plexus and tech and solar panels. And will solar panels become obsolete? Well, yes, obviously, eventually, yes, well, they will. Are they still an essential transition technology right now? Yes, absolutely they are. Because energy coming from the sun is free. And if we put out stuff to catch it, we can power everything that we need. In many ways, it's also a little less, it creates less direct impact environmental dangers than things like wind farms, although wind farms are also extraordinarily efficient and beautiful ways of capturing energy. The fact that some birds like hit the propellers, well, birds die a lot in a lot of ways. And it's all weighing out our impact, right? And with solar panels, yes, some of solar panels are terrible in terms of the recycling process, and they create a lot of waste.
I think it's important to ask that. This was one of the main, when he was here, actually, he was explaining everything. I'm going to say the name if that's okay. It's called Daybreak. I've seen many companies, and he was explaining how they recycle everything. That was really important for me to ask him that. And he came back, they say every component. And he was saying also that they haven't changed a single panel in 50 years. Because what is your refund policy? It's oh, they're warranty forever, because we have never replaced one. I was like, wow, that is impressive. And you're autosufficient as well. So the day there is an outage, you're still
you're still able to use your technology. It's beautiful. And it's a process of, and I want to be clear, because I just expressed something that could seem dismissive of the fact that wind farms kill birds and etc. I'm not dismissive of that. I'm conscious of the fact that we're in an evolutionary arc, that we're still struggling, and we're still polluting, we're still creating a lot of damage on the planet, but we're learning how to more consciously live in harmony and in service with all life. That is the arc that we're on. And inevitably, those kinds of energy technologies need to be replaced with localized, minimal motion, objects that we can have, at our house, that powers our house, that's running off the quantum vacuum fields. Because there's, as you know from being a Resonance Science Foundation student, there is ridiculous amounts of energy in this empty space. Putting that to work, putting that to use, is a significant challenge. It's not like a minor, easy to do thing, because when you start to understand how our bodies and how protons and how the energy in our own system processes energy and information, it's highly complex and beautiful and gorgeous. And yet at the heart of it are some very, very simple principles. And I believe what it comes down to is, how is it that a proton spins forever? How is it that a proton lives for the lifetime of the entire universe or many universes, right? What is it about the proton that has those qualities, and why does it have those qualities? How is it possible for a little field of space-time energy to continue spinning at the speed of light at its, event horizon, right on the equator, torsioning space-time, pulling space-time around it, creating electron fields for hundreds of billions of years, as far as we know, right?
Do they expand? Does a proton multiply? Does the
That's a great
universe
question.
expand?
Well, since there is time and we are experiencing time, there's a lot of different ways we can look at the relationship between galaxies within the universe. And there have been some theories that that we are misreading the redshift of other galaxies, and that, you know, is the universe actually expanding at all? Well, I think that the universe is growing, and the universe's growth is an expansion, and that there is actually more and more information and more energy that is growing throughout the entire universe. Every galaxy is basically a universe producer. It's building more of the universe. And so there's, as that's occurring, if we look at the relationship between the proton and the universe, we see some really, you know, interesting correlations. One of those correlations that Nassim Haramein found is that the mass energy of the proton itself, if we account for all of the Planck oscillations, that mass energy should equal the visible mass energy of the entire universe. In other words, what we see in the whole universe actually fully exists in the energy of a single proton. That's like his part of the holographic theorem, the part of his, you know, quantum gravity and the holographic mass. But I took that a step further because I noticed that his Planck spherical units, that he's the oscillations inside the proton, when we count how many there are in the volume based on the proton's charge radius and the size of the Planck length, we basically get something in the range of 10 to the 60th Planck spherical units or Planck oscillators inside the proton. And out of, you know, one of my pieces of work where I was studying how the structure inside the proton must operate kind of like DNA in each of the vector vortices, and showed that the geometry of those points, because they're geodesics and they're pentagonal, would operate like DNA, and it would be a perfect input-output storage mechanism. I came across and was looking at, you know, the lifetime of the universe in relationship to that, and found that the lifetime of the universe in Planck seconds is also approximately in the range 10 to the 60th. It's something like 8 times 10 to the 60th Planck seconds in the lifetime of the universe. Now, could we say it's a coincidence that that literally a 10 with 60 zeros is the exact order of magnitude of the oscillations in a single proton, to 10 to the 60th order of magnitude is also the exact number of Planck seconds we estimate is the lifetime of the universe? Doesn't sound like a coincidence to me. It sounds like there is literally 1 Planck second in the universe for every Planck oscillation in the proton. And what that means is that every Planck second, the proton is growing by 1 oscillation. And so the whole universe and the proton are in a direct correlative growth field together. So yes, every proton is growing as the universe is growing, and the universe is growing as every proton is growing. And the information of the universe's growth is being stored in every proton throughout the entire universe.
Yes. So that explains that we are made of the universe. We are made of stardust, like you guys say. And this is why we have this connection all the time, and that we can access. And even when it comes to like past life memories or things that all these capabilities and stuff like that, I feel like also it's like a storage, just like, you know, when you're reordering your house. And I like how this is all relating to painting, because when you clean your house, when you redecorate your house, you're changing the energies and stuff like that. But the experiences, the knowledge, just if you have a bunch of like karmic things or memories or grudges, or I don't know, a lot of joy, unexpressed feelings, this is why I'm doing this Chakradventure as well, because to express, sometimes I write things, you know, about even my life, personal, or some things that are completely out there, or all bunch of topics and levels and stuff. But when you speak, then you have other people who are like, oh, because you're expressing it, you're healing yourself, but you're also healing the people who were not expressing it, and so the collective as well, you know. And so by clearing the space, you unlock another information. You leave the room, just like in a drawer that you're cleaning, you're leaving the room, and you start remembering another life or another life. If you would remember all of your past life or all of the information of everything, you would be lost. You would, you would have, oh my God, how could I do that? Or, oh my God, why, all these things that you can't process at once, you would just go crazy. And this is a lot of the stuff I figured out. What's that?
I said some people do. I mean, that's part of the process of really like waking up to some extent, is realizing that like there are states and capacities in which you can hold all information, and have awareness of everything and nothing at the same time, and the entire universe. And there's some very, very particular processes to actually integrating that and dealing with that into your life. And a lot of people have a huge struggle with having that opening of realizing that interconnection to everything and beginning to see who they truly are, and resurfacing their memory across their whole life, and or multiple lives. And then, try to like get up and go to work in the morning.
Like, what did you do yesterday? Oh, in the morning I was thinking, what in my past life in Egypt, like,
But then when you begin to actually take that information in and practice through grounding, integrating it in how you're reading what's happening in the moment. That's what you're really describing, Letitia, when you're talking about noticing how watching the video in quantum geometry was like related to this, or like, watching this is, connecting in, or watching Matthias, an initiation, is connecting to this. And that is a beautiful expression of this practice of the living moment to moment integration of this deep sacred wisdom, this deep interconnection between things. And the way I've applied that in my life is that as I began to have these different memories of different lifetimes, I started actually deeply paying attention to the relationships in my life. And I started really attending to how it is that I knew certain people that I couldn't, I couldn't say how I know them so well. I just feel how well I know them.
Yeah.
And as I inquired into that and explored into that, what happened was I started having recall with those people and remembering other times. And then why are we remembering another time? Is it just so that we could be like, oh, cool, yeah, like knew you from Egypt, like sweet. Well, no, it's because knowing people through time deepens our connection, because it deepens what we know of that person, the trust we have in them, the experiences we've had with them, the things we've been through with them, and also our connection with someone else from another time is happening right now, because it's connected to a process of growth and learning and development that we're going through in our lives right now. And if we keep those boxes separate, we're missing the picture, because everything that we remember and reconnect to in ourselves is interconnected to the processes that are unfolding in our life. And that means all the way down to like what's going on in your dynamic in your relationship, or with your kids, or with, the house that you're trying to buy, or the car that you have, or like everything in your life is woven and connected to the processes of the growth and the learning and the integration that you're going through on the inside.
Yes. And it's also like to also take to the next level, because sometimes, for example, let's say, the book, The Alchemy by Paulo Coelho. I haven't read the book. I've read extracts. I've heard about it. Everybody knows about the book, but I haven't properly like read the book. But or there's some books sometimes that I feel like you connect with it, but it's already integrated. So many people have read it. It's so integrated in the collective consciousness already that we've already integrated, and it's time to go to the next level into the implementation, for example. And so that's why you know, when there's all these things about the copyright, of course you quote, you know, you quote your sources and stuff like that. But imagine if we all had to start over from a research, you know, how the time we would waste. That no, you take the research and you continue the work. And I think for the lives and the past lives and stuff, it's the same thing. You, like you say, you establish this trust relationship, but then when you find each other, you're like, okay, we're taking this to the next level. Okay, how we continue that and implement it like massively and globally, and even it doesn't have to be massively. It can be in terms also of depth also, you know, but make things more magical and stuff. So yeah, this is amazing. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so I have still a few more questions. Can we talk about the okay, so one comment I wanted to add also was through the spin and stuff like that, you know, how this is going to become the new medicine. Like, do you think of a mandala, a crop circle? Let's talk crop circle. Do you think like a crop circle? I'm going to show you this painting. I took it down the wall today just to show you. This is a crop circle from, I think, 2009. And I saw yesterday that you posted crop circle from 2010, and I was in England in 2009. I saw a crop circle like completely by, I didn't expect to see one, right? There was one, it was like a sun and everything. And it's true, when you go to these sacred places, it can be a sacred, I'm losing my words, monument, like a site, or it can be just a place in nature. It can be a crop circle or even a temple with a symbol. I believe, I'm a mandala artist, by the way. I didn't introduce myself, but I do mandala, and my brand is Pachamam Art. And I feel like really there is this energy, you know, the mandalas, they are portals. They are, when people come to my house and we're talking in front of a painting, you know, it's like I show them the painting, we're walking around and we're in front of this painting and we start having a conversation, and you put them like a mini door, you know, and we're talking. Then you go in front of another painting, we start talking about something else, it opens like a little portal, and we're talking. And everybody who came to, so this one is called Mystery, because you know, everybody who comes here, I'm like, okay, what do you think this crop circle represents? And you know, everybody comes up with a different idea. And so this one, I like it. So tell me what you see in this one. For me, it's like the four, you know, the orientation, the sun and the moon. It's like also an activation, like a mechanism, almost like, you know, that you can turn. What can you tell me? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I feel deeply a connection between, you know, the indigenous cultures, energy and wisdom around the four directions, and the sort of earth as the central cross and the powerful center point of perception. The moons really, to me, bring in time to that, and that there's sort of a pattern and process in time as well as in moving in the four directions. What's interesting is that the Mayan peoples directly, you know, implemented this, almost this exact pattern really as an understanding of how we move through time, which is that each day we rotate to a different direction. And we do that over 13 days, which forms a wave spell. And those 13 days are also directly acting like a fractal to the 13 moons of the year, right? And so right there, you have this powerful connection between the four directions and the 13 moons. And that's really what I see in this glyph, is this communication of the power of time, rotation, direction, and that you're in the center. And it's interesting too, because it's almost like the center of this glyph is the sun, because the moons are all being illuminated from the center, right? And so it's also educating in some sense about the way that like we perceive the moon being in different ways and in different directions, you know, as we see its different arcs, but it's actually the same moon the whole time. It's always the same moon. In fact, you're always the same you, no matter which direction you're facing. You're always the same existence, no matter what's happening in time, but your perception is changing. Your angle of view into the universe is changing all the time. So there's a few insights that I would glean from that sigil.
And you were talking about the number 13 as well. So see this one. Oh wait, I'm going to show you this one. I just finished this one last night. It's a Metatron cube. So the one I painted this after I saw the one you posted from the crop circle. So that it also a Metatron cube. Let me see from closer. So this one is the fire. I haven't painted the center. I'm going to finish it tonight. The fire, right? The solar plexus, and how the Metatron cube is super energetic. It's like literally a portal, and this one has its fruit of life. It doesn't have the connection, but it's more like to imagine the connection, right? To visualize them, and you're activating it yourself with your third eye. And the number 13, like you were talking about, the number 13 that comes back all the time, like the 12 plus 1, like the connection to the divine.
It's also in the painting behind you.
Yes, the painting behind me.
The solar heart up there. Yeah,
there are 13 rays as well. And today is the 13, right?
Yeah, today's 11/13.
Today is the 13 as well.
True that.
Yeah. So tell me this NFT thing that you have, the crop circle, the molecule of life. You wrote last night, you were like, okay, this can change everything, you know. And at this moment, I'm watching Initiation when he's talking about how to go through the portals, you know, you have to reconnect through the sacred geometry. And this really is going to change everything, because now we're going to be able to do the genetic work by visualizing symbol, by doing art therapy. I mean, this is like the beginning of something really big, you know. And I was like so excited, because as an artist, I never thought I would become an artist. I started painting just like that. I was like, I'm not a good painter. I don't know how to paint a tree or anything. You know, I can do circles. I can do, rulers and circles, and started doing that. But then when I saw the power of it, I was like, oh my God, this is, you know, the new medicine. And so anyways, super exciting. So what is this NFT? Is it like you have a platform, you created a platform, or this is the one, the molecule of life, the one you posted last night? This is your first Nano. It's like what you buy the file and you can reuse it for animations and
anything you want. So I'll give people a little bit of a primer on what NFTs are, because maybe your audience doesn't all know. So an NFT, what that stands for is non-fungible token. So whenever you exchange something like cash with somebody else, like a $100 bill or, you know, $5 bill or whatever, that's a fungible token, meaning that one $100 bill and another $100 bill are the same. They're equated. They don't mean anything different. You know, they both equal $100. A non-fungible token is anything else, art, property, music, etc. Because what it is, basically, these are non-fungible objects. Sorry, not non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible objects do not have a direct value equation. Their value is actually based on usually speculation, usually whatever we perceive them to be worth. So your work of art on the wall there, like, does that equal an amount of money? No, it doesn't. It's just whatever you assign to it as its value in the moment. So things that also fit in this bucket are things like real estate, any creative project creation made by people that you can't say is this much money or whatever, acts like that. And even gold and silver to some extent are non-fungible assets, because the value of gold and the value of silver and things like that, they change over time. Now, a non-fungible token is sort of like the deed of ownership that establishes to some extent an understanding of value around this object. So when you have a piece of land, you know, you're going to buy a piece of land or buy a house, what are you actually buying? Like, really think about this. You're not going and actually, there's nothing that changes in the land or the house or any of that when you buy it. All that changes is you go into a bank, you know, and a notary, and there's a piece of paper that you sign, you know, and they sign, and there's money that changes hands, and all you get is actually a piece of paper. That's it. That piece of paper is a non-fungible token. that is a token that says you own that piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the whole thing is like, you know, people that think NFTs are ridiculous aren't really looking at the fact that, well, we're never really exchanging non-fungible assets anyway. We're always exchanging tokens of these assets when we buy or sell land, when we buy real estate, even pieces of art. Like, do you actually really own the art that somebody else has created? Well, maybe, but it's kind of like it's on your wall, and so you're enjoying it. And so applying this same concept to digital assets, we realized that, you know, there's nothing special about all of the magic that you do by going to a city building and getting them to sign or stamp a paper, and you getting something notarized with a magical notary who watches you sign something, that's any more special than digitally signing something, digitally securing it, and that record being stored on a global blockchain that everybody can see that there's ownership and that it exists. And so the NFT movement is moving towards, hey, we don't need the city building to ratify our thing. We don't need the notary. We don't need all those archaic processes. It's possible for us to do these exchanges in a decentralized way, where I can create something and you can own it, and we don't need anybody else to tell us anything about it. Like, it's just us making an agreement. And so non-fungible tokens are this crazy movement because people have realized, wow, value can be anything we imagine it to be. And things like CryptoPunks blow people's minds because these are literally 25 pixel by 25 pixel images. They're tiny little bitmapped images. And they started out free and people traded them. And then people started paying $100 to trade them. And then people started paying $1,000 to trade them, like trading cards. And now people are paying millions, tens of millions of dollars to trade these little images. And you'd say, what? Why would you do that? Well, because there's different psychological things around this. It's a matter of pride to someone to own a CryptoPunk that's worth $5 million. They're like, I've got that CryptoPunk, you know, so there's some ego in it too.
But isn't there like some, like, to me, you see, for example, the one you created last night, or the crop circle, something that has energetic value, or something that, for example, your the marketing company, and you need to have supporting materials, right? You need to have art, you need to have
I'm getting there.
backgrounds and artistic stuff like that. Sure. That can actually, you know, be useful and be like meditative or have like medicinal, you know, influences like that. Then just like have it, it's kind of like a stock option, pretty much. Like, it's just like you're buying.
So for some people, NFTs and the game, the level of consciousness that they're playing that game is the level of consciousness of ego and pride and trade, and like, hey, I've got this much money and I can blow it on a stupid tiny pixeled image. You know, there is that level of consciousness participating in the space. And I'm pointing to that because that's a lot of what people see through media and through the news and etc. There's an entirely other side to this whole world, which is the realization that every creative thing that we do, in some sense, is a non-fungible token. And there is the need to share and spread, in particular, consciousness within this space, and understand the deeper value hidden inside something as simple as a digital image. And what I'm trying to do is educate inside this community and say, no, don't just give me a like, you know, silly cyberkong image. I don't care about that. And it's not trying to do it and just make money or whatever. I actually want someone to have an experience of every time they look at this image, it is actually acting like a portal, a mandala. It's opening their consciousness. It's teaching them through the inherent mathematics and geometry and science and wisdom that's baked into it. They're receiving actually from the, as I believe, galactic messages from different galactic species laid into these sigils. And as a wizard, as a sigil creator, I build my own sigils. I understand that, you know, my own personal sigil has taken me, you know, 15 years to refine. And it's a slow process of my own self-discovery about myself and my connection to the universe. And I believe a lot of these symbols are sort of the output of mastery of a state of understanding a certain level of consciousness. And so the NFTs I'm creating are not just, they're not intended to just be like an image you put on your desktop, or, I mean, it's 108 million pixels, so you can put it on the biggest TV you could possibly buy. But, and we also give people canvases to put on their wall. The first people that buy them all get a 4-foot by 3-foot canvas print. It's intended to help people actually start to realize the power and the potency of the galactic messages that have been coming through these symbols. And I'm using this as a doorway of understanding for people too, because there's also NFTs where you can buy components of virtual worlds. You can buy AR spaces, in other words, augmented reality spaces, as places on the planet. Like literally Paris was already completely bought up in grids in this one NFT project, where then anybody who owns any of those grids can create any virtual statue or art or modification or world of that space within Paris once we have the technology to be able to experience it. So even that is kind of like a crazy idea, right now. But as we go into the future, what it's doing is it's creating this space of opportunity for our creativity in how do we actually improve our lives with the overlay of a virtual world. What could get better about our lives? And to be honest, a lot of the projects, they're just trying different things to see what we can do and what's possible. And it's just like the birth of any whole new field that will mature into a more wise and more conscious process of utilizing this kind of thing. And I'm working to, as our core project, to build these systems like Fractal NFT, which is one of the next big things that we're building right now, and to Core Nexus, which is this full 3D social operating system that I'm building. And that journey to that creation is literally templating to the people, to the masses, from visions I've had and been working on for 15 years with my, CTO and partner Harlan. Like, we've been building out the pattern for how enlightened structures can come through our technology to serve all life on this planet. And we've been doing it so long that we see how this maturation cycle is going to go. And we're already working on the piece that's already at the end of that growth cycle, so that we can help bring the rest of the community to that level of consciousness.
Yes, and by seeing it every day, it's like the branding, when you see Coca-Cola everywhere, then it becomes your comfort, like it becomes engraved, within you. You become comfortable to it. So then you go to that. So now the more you see these crop circles, you see these light codes, like on the 19th, we're going to do a conference on the star chakra with Marisela Mendoza, who is one of my friends and sisters. She does numerology. I have cards here too, but she has an amazing oracle. I'm going to ask her to bring that with some light codes on it. You'll see the symbols are super cool. I love the sigils as well. I have a painting right here. I don't want to move the computer, but this is really incredible. Like, taking advantage of what you're saying, how you're putting into place all this platform, for raising the consciousness that yes, the symbols really transform your life, and how even visualizing them, sometimes I'm painting something, I don't even realize, and I'm living an experience, and I'm like, oh my God, I created that, like words are spelled, what you say, you have to be careful, mindful of your words. It's the same when you're painting and stuff like that. So what is, okay, 2 more questions. I know it's a lot, but you're awesome. Oh my God, you're awesome. Like, thank you so much. This is so cool, so interesting, really talk with you. the molecule of life. So tell us about this specific one.
Yeah. So we call it Nano, and this this particular crop circle is very interesting, and maybe I should pull it up to just show your audience while I've got you here. So
you can. Cool.
Why don't you pick a gem for me? Diamond, emerald, kunzite, obsidian, ruby, or sapphire? Pick one.
Let's say, what did you say? Repeat it for me.
Diamond, emerald, kunzite, obsidian, ruby, or sapphire?
Diamond.
Diamond. Okay, you got it. So, you'll have to let me screen share in order to be able to show you on here.
All right, let's see. Oh, one person, multiple participant can share. Okay, no, you should be able.
Okay. Perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, great. So this is the diamond. And so it's the light white version of this. This crop circle is extraordinarily fascinating because the way that it's laid out and it's structured actually matches the map of a three-dimensional molecular structure that is in the exact geometric shape from this angle of the 64 tetrahedral matrix, which is the flower of life structure as well, and also is as a matrix the fundamental structure that Nassim has been propagating in his work for many years now as like the structure of space-time in a state of equilibrium. And so my dear friend Carissa Roulette did a mathematics analysis and scientific analysis of this. And that's available at galacticnfts.com. You click on the Nano and you'll see all of the mathematics and geometry decoding, all of the science decoding that she's done. And what she discovered is that this molecule, because it is able to be in this sort of state of high equilibrium in a lattice, it's like a very advanced crystalline structure inside of a little piece of matter. And this advanced crystalline structure, she believes, can act as an energy recursive storage mechanism that if you stimulated it with the right external energy, like light, probably laser light is my assessment, inside of a containment field, as she and I have been kind of working on designing over the years, then this molecule would literally start vibrating as the quantum vacuum and act like an energy producing crystal, where it literally will magnify the energy put into it and output more because it's actually aligned into the quantum vacuum field in a particular way. And even the little circles here, what's interesting about them is they kind of float. They're not exact. They don't exactly fit in one spot, but they actually act as they map to the electron bonds in this structure. So these are the actual positions and numbers of the electron bonds in the particular relationship between two atoms, and those atoms are gadolinium and silicon. And so this is a really interesting structure. The lattice itself would be piezoelectric, so it would produce electricity from pressure. And that pressure, again, could be any kind, like light, etc. Very low energy input could produce an energy output that is increased. And so, yeah, geometrically and everything else, it's just an absolutely amazing and fascinating molecule / crop circle.
Wow.
And for your audience, I can actually show you the actual original crop circles here, just so that you guys can see.
I'll go pull something while you're pulling it up. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So this is a side view from the top. As you can see, this thing is really massive. It's a very big crop circle. And
wow.
And as you can see, it's quite precise. circular laying down of the wheat is like highly woven and refined. You'll notice even in the triangular shapes, you can see directionality in the wheat because the whole thing was spun in very, very specific ways. And one of the other crop circles that we crafted, which is the Milk Hill crop circle, which I'll show you guys real quickly here. That's this guy. Milk Hill one is very popular, but one of the really fascinating things is every circle within this structure are all counter rotating from the one next to it.
Wow.
So it's designed in such a way so that every one of them is counter rotating.
Like the spins, like you were talking about,
like the
spins, right?
Exactly.
On a higher scale.
That's right. You got it. And then that one, I'll show you the big version of that one. Maybe we'll do it in Kunzite because that's a real sexy one in purple.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what this one looks like.
Woo, yeah. So powerful. Yeah. This is wow.
Thank you.
And you see it's circles. I mean, there is a wave of geometry on the earth right now, and this has been for years, that was just put there. I've seen some videos of kind of like how they're being created. So we don't know if it's like simulations or, real videos and stuff, but kind of an idea of how it's created. Right. It's really like a wave of frequency and energy that comes over the field like that. And it's just like, created.
In the scientific analysis of the Milk Hill crop, what the researchers found that studied that wheat was that the actual wheat constitution inside the circle changed. The wheat stalks were hollowed out as if something evaporated the structure at the core of it, turning them to be hollow. And they took the samples of the seeds from inside the circle and the seeds outside the circle. And the ones inside the circle had 111% increase in growth rates over the ones outside of the circle. So that, among other things that you'll find on galacticnfts.com, just really points to and kind of disarms the idea that, oh yeah, some guys just went out there and stamped these things down, which yes, you can stamp down crops, but they don't weave the crop, they don't weave the actual stalks together. And they don't hollow out the stalks as if they've been microwaved. They don't change the vibrational growth rates of the plant seeds. Like there's a lot more under the scenes here. And there's a lot of people who would try to kind of just push the impression that these are all just guys stomping around in fields. Yeah, absolutely. And I really believe that they're here. I had this vision when it's like, like the Nazca lines, like you have the Nazca lines and you have all the symbols and stuff. And it's like a map almost, and all these crop circles that could be like a comic book. The earth is their comic book. It's like reference points, but it's also reminders for us. And okay, I'm gonna show this last painting, and then I'm asking you a question about the arc. This you see, because you're talking about, I said diamond, you showed the diamond one, and you were talking about the field. This is a logo that I painted. It's for a brand of champagne from France. When I was in France last summer, at the exhibition to show some paintings, I met this lady, Natalia. She works for a brand of champagne. I love champagne. I'm French. I love champagne. I love cannabis. And as we're talking about, transformation and the more natural ways as well, like cannabis, it's really helped me, we're talking about the chakras and the solar plexus. And yesterday I'm bringing the topic because last night I saw someone on Facebook asking, hey, my son has Crohn's disease. Do you know how, to consume for stomach and stuff like that? And it's true that cannabis helps me a lot for rebalancing, the anxiety, helping for the digestion. So it's all related also to the chakras, and the painting, has been my meditation. But so anyways, and she has this brand of champagne and it's infused with it's cannabis taste. So it doesn't have the cannabis, so it doesn't get you high or anything. It's just the taste of it. But I thought it was interesting to mention it because they're going to send this in America. That's going to be, they're trying to find business in America. And I wanted to show it because it's just a beautiful logo. And that makes me kind of think of, with the leaf and the geometry.
If
Yeah, I love the pointillism. It's beautiful.
yes, anyone is interested, it's called Rosso Pico. And my question to you is like for the NFTs, like I want to
Yeah.
do, this kind of paintings, I want to like activate them
Yeah.
and make an NFT, right? Like they do
Yeah.
reels on Instagram. And
Sure.
so can I like your platform that you just created, is it like just your artwork, or like can we upload our artwork on your platform as well and go through that, or is it all through OpenSea?
Yeah, in the spring, we're going to be launching a fractal NFT marketplace. Might be early summer next year, and that marketplace will have one particular extraordinarily powerful innovation in this space, and that is that whenever you mint an NFT, when someone else takes that NFT and resells it, you earn a commission if it stays in the same marketplace. But if somebody takes it and moves it to another wallet and they go to sell it somewhere else, you don't earn a commission. And also, there's no mechanism of royalty for someone to remix or recreate art based off of somebody else's NFT to evolve it, right? Because we're in this amazing creative culture where someone could make a piece of vector art, and that vector art becomes an amazing image. That image becomes part of a film clip. That film clip becomes part of whatever else. And so what we've designed and we're architecting and building right now is this system that would enable people to have royalty tables inside of their NFTs that can reference 1,000 layers down. So you could literally have a drummer in Africa creating a drum beat. He records it and he mints it as an NFT and he gives it away for free. And by the way, in our system, it's not going to cost you insane amounts to mint your NFTs. Because we're leveraging new technologies to do that don't have the huge cost of things like Ethereum. And so he mints it for free. He's like, I don't even want any money for it. I just want to, if somebody ends up selling it, I'll put the royalty table as my family and this local conservatory that's helping to protect like the wildlife in this area. Great. Then some electronic music musician is like, dude, that drum beat is amazing. Basically goes to buy it for reuse, and the reuse says, okay, you can reuse this for free, but you have to pay to the royalty table of it and have this percentage going to that. And so electronic music producer creates with it and then goes out, sells the track. Somebody else remixes that guy's track. Somebody else then produces it into something else. And then, whatever, Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift does a track using that electronic music track. And when she sells it, all the people all the way down the line back to the guy in the little village in Africa, they all get paid instantly every single time that other NFT sells. And what that changes the game around is it just says, actually, we can create a system where abundance flows to all the artists and all the creators that are part of something like a film. It's a big deal right now in Marvel because Marvel has separated Marvel Studios from Marvel Entertainment, and Disney owns Marvel Studios, but all the artists are in Marvel Entertainment. And how those artists get paid is a real issue because a lot of the actual royalties and et cetera that those artists should receive for their work are not making it across that gap. And this happened with Cruella, which is another Disney movie where the fashion artist that created these incredible dresses that are literally the most cool part of the movie is like this amazing fashion that Cruella de Vil is wearing. And Disney took that, sold options off to clothing makers to make clothes out of it. The clothing artists got nothing from any of that, zero royalties. And there's articles about this because it points to the massive issue in the industries
system,
that take advantage of artists, pay them one time for something, make millions of dollars off of it or billions, and the artist is still scraping for their next meal. It's absolutely not okay, and it's ridiculous. So we're solving this core problem by creating a mechanism for people to easily create non-fungible tokens out of whatever it is that they're making as their art, and then be able to earn royalties on it, however that happens to be used, whenever it happens to be done in the future. And I think that's going to be a really, really powerful game changer for our current society and culture.
Yes, so much. Not only the consciousness by seeing these symbols and the medicine aspect, but also the financial aspect of like the redistributing and everything. That is so true. Wow. So please, when you do your lives of the
and let me come back to your question real quick before we go on. So right now we're selling our NFTs through galacticnfts.com, which points you into OpenSea. And OpenSea is a marketplace for minting NFTs and creating them. We did that intentionally because there's already a lot of people using OpenSea, and we want what we're creating to be traded easily. So if you want to create NFTs right now, OpenSea is a good opportunity. There's a lot of other marketplaces emerging out there too. And you can basically go there. You have to connect your cryptocurrency wallet to OpenSea, which means you need MetaMask or Coinbase as a wallet, or any of a series of others. And Coinbase is probably an easy one to use for most people, because you can easily put cash in and buy currency. You'll need to have a little bit of currency in the wallet, especially Ethereum in the wallet, to be able to set up and mint your first NFTs. And it costs a little bit of money. It'll cost you a couple $100 to mint the first contract. And then it costs about, $100 if you want to freeze the metadata into IPFS. So for me, just getting started with this crop circle process, for example, it cost me over $1,000 just to start the process of minting all of these guys, because they're big files. It's a big project. There's lots of gas fees, etc. So,
and it looks so simple. It looks like a little file you posted like this, like 3.5. You can't imagine. I can't imagine all the work that's been behind all that, like to put this into place and create all that. So this is also one message, for you guys when you do all of this work, or the artists, when I sell a painting, like one painting a certain price, and I tell it, like, you're not buying just the painting, you're buying a vision, you're buying all the work that's behind it, that's free all the time. Like when you're doing your Q&As, like all of, on memberships, it's like, you're not buying just the course, you're supporting also the entire research, the foundation, the crypto, the platform and everything. So thank you for that.
This is very specifically a fundraiser for this fractal NFT system that we're going to open source and give away to everybody. We're building it to give it away to everybody. Wow. And then the next phase is the launch of our 3D social operating system, which will be free for you to access to create a decentralized identity, own and control your data. And then you can also use that platform to make money. And so to get there and to do these releases, it takes a lot of capital. And so we're doing this to both fundraise to keep our growth going, as well as help bring in additional investors. And we're in that process, and it's really fun. It's really exciting. And the beauty of the NFT space is that, if it gets really hot within the crypto community, it's possible we could fund ourselves just from people trading our NFTs. And that's a really exciting prospect, because it means, less investors to be beholden to, and a lot more of us being able to really bake in the core ethics into everything that we do.
So that's it. We can go and buy your Galactic NFT now, the Nano.
That's
the first one you have.
We have two up now. So we have Time Map and we have Nano. Okay. And on November 22nd, we're releasing the third one, which is Euler's Cube. And the three of them are the first set, and I call them the portal series, because they're portals of consciousness intended to help you open up your consciousness in ways. And then I'll have another sequence coming after that. So we're just getting started. We're like kind of still in pre-launch phase. We haven't even really done any marketing except for a couple little Instagram posts by me,
this is so cool. But
happy to be announcing it.
yeah, it's already, I mean, you see, it's already in the air because I saw it last night. I was already like, oh yeah, this is so
Yeah.
exciting. I have so many questions, you know, good luck, good luck, good luck. So
Thank
cool.
you.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh, like I'm such a fan. Look, Adam, I want to thank you like for all of that. I want to make you one. So, you know, lately I did this Colors of Nature little challenge, and I set myself a little challenge to paint 13 of these, like the 13 crystal skulls, you know, like doing like
Nice.
a limited edition, like do 13 of that. We have another
Cool.
project with the champagne bottles, but
Yeah.
I want to create one for you.
Okay.
And so tell me the colors, like I picked for the diamonds. Tell me, okay, let's see, pick between tanzanite, quartz, amethyst, and moonstone
Ooh, yeah. Okay, that's
for the
tough.
colors and the
So I have to
energy.
pick one of those, or do I get to pick two of them?
Yeah,
Or
whatever colors you like, tell me, and I will make one for you and I will send it to you.
Tanzanite, quartz, amethyst, or moonstone. Gosh, those are all like some of my favorite crystals. Let's say like quartz and moonstone. Like a
All
really
right.
like light one would be really cool.
Okay, I'll make one.
Yeah.
And you know, that's funny because the cross circle that you showed today with the very white colors and pinkish, yesterday I
Yeah.
pulled a card from an oracle and it was like exactly the same color and the
Wow.
same shape from the Flower of Life oracle. And I saw it, I was like, wow, that is crazy. I have others cards here today, but we've already done like, you know, so long. The two cards I pulled before we started was the biome and atoms from the
Nice.
elemental oracles. And every time I'm on a science day, I pull these
Beautiful.
cards. Like, see this one, I like it because it shows all the
Mm,
monuments around the earth, right? The monuments,
yeah.
the friends, the Eiffel Tower, all of that. And it's really what
Yeah.
we're doing right now, you know, by connecting
Totally.
and sharing all this knowledge. It's taking all
Mm.
around and bringing all the sacred and from everyone, you know, back to everything. So
It's a beautiful deck. Who created that deck? Do you have the box that you could
yes,
show?
this
The
one is
book?
the Elemental Oracle from
Ah,
Stacy DeMarco. It's
nice.
beautiful. Yeah, I can show
Really
you some of the
gorgeous.
cards if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cards are really gorgeous. It's like,
Wow.
it's very, look at
Oh,
this.
I love that. I love that.
North. Yes,
Mm.
this is very NFT style as well.
Oh, yeah. They're just gorgeous.
Wait, are they backwards? Yes, they're really
Mm.
beautiful.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All
Amazing.
right. So I have
Elemental
one more
Oracle.
question. It's a short one
Okay.
about the art crystal because I have one of my friends that has the art crystal,
Yeah.
and she has. I got it for her because she has a thyroid problem, right?
I
She
see.
has a thyroid imbalance, and I saw
Right.
you guys saying in one of the conferences, someone commenting in the comments that they got it for their friends that had a thyroid problem, and I was like, wow, what do you think about that? Like,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
will it help like rebalance the levels? I was like, oh my god, if there is anything, you know, that could help for this problem, this autoimmune thing that a lot of people have and they don't know how to treat it besides taking a lot of treatments
Yeah.
and stress levels and stuff, when really,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I always look at, any kind of health practice as a holistic process. There's consciousness involved with what's going on with someone's thyroid always. The more you understand the chakras and understand the areas of the body and what kind of consciousness is happening in that space, the more clearly you can start to see what kind of patterns of consciousness equate to weakness within those systems and what kinds of patterns of consciousness equate to health within those systems. Barbara Ann Brennan and her work with light emerging and Hands of Light is an incredible work by a master who's, she was a NASA astrophysicist, became a healer, and her way of teaching about how we can heal ourselves and our bodies is absolutely foundational, I think, to the entire next, realms of healing that we're going to as a species. So that being said, also nutrient support is really important. So for thyroid issues, iodine is very, very important. Thyroid in particular takes a lot of hit from radiation. So because of Fukushima and other radiation that's happened on the planet, there's fish that we're eating that sometimes have radiation. There's places in California that have received a lot of radiation from Fukushima. And because of that, we need to augment and support our natural immune system with additional iodine to support the thyroid. Now, those are some practical things. And then the arc crystal, absolutely what it does is it basically creates current and flow within the quantum vacuum. So it's literally just magnifying the movement of the quantum vacuum fluctuations, the field around the object. And so I have a naked one here, which a lot of people haven't seen. And this is one of the original ones from the earliest versions. And what it does is it's creating what's basically a toroidal field that's moving through this structure. And that toroidal field is propagating energy movement. Now, if we look at what does consciousness do in the body with our organs and our glands and et cetera, when we are operating in a healthy consciousness state in a certain level of our body, what's occurring is that there is energy flow that's moving through that part of our body. The consciousness we hold actually enhances, the structure of the way that the energy is moving. And so what an arc crystal can do is kind of bootstrap that for you. It says, well, if you're struggling with moving your own consciousness energy in that space, the arc crystal will help to move that field, which will then, as that energy moves, the tissues are healthier, the structural, cellular structure inside of the gland can be healthier. And you'll feel it. If you wear one of these things on your chest, in the harness and everything else, you'll notice it's like, it feels for a while like almost like it's pulling or stretching the tissues around your heart and around, the glands in the thymus, or you keep it around your throat, you'll notice. And the way that is opening your body is basically trying to teach your body how to stay open like that on its own, because energy moving through your body is how your body stays healthy. So hopefully that gives like a holistic look at this from many perspectives. And it's also the reason why the arc crystal is really powerful in its effect on water, because when you have water and you have the arc crystal near or next to that water, it's moving the field through the water, and the water is actually very, very susceptible to that field movement. And so the water starts spinning differently and moving differently inside of the molecular structure. And that can create what are called these pentagonal vortice chains, which are matching the geometric structure of DNA, matching the geometric structure of the vortices inside the proton, matching literally what they call the fourth phase of water, or the state of water where life molecules begin to form and generate. And so water then becomes a more highly synergetic molecular system to put into our bodies that matches and vibrates harmonically with our bodies to enhance our health. So that's the very, rough, short version.
I'll call her today or tomorrow. I'll ask her, how she's doing for her thyroid. And next time you have a Q&A, or when I have more information and results and stuff, I'll comment so you guys know how it's going.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for answering all of my questions. 2000s. I'm so happy. That was so great. It's not every day that I have you just for me to answer all the questions and just have the honor of spending time with you. So I was like, let's make the best of it.
Thank you, Leticia. I had a great time. It's lovely to connect with you.
Thank you. All right, well, have a great weekend and let's stay connected. I will write to you when the painting is done. I'll write to you in a few weeks because I'm late on everything, but
I would love that. Yeah, please stay connected and feel free to, you know, ask a question of me in the next Resonance Q&A and we'll bring you on video and we'll hang out again.
Cool. Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank you
Adam.
so much.
Have a great
Take good
weekend.
care.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, let's see how do